In this demonstration, we'll take a look at how to monitor the RIP routing protocol on a Juniper device. The first thing that I want to do is take a look at the configuration of my Juniper router here. So I'm going to go into configuration mode by typing the edit command. Now I can use the show command to show my configuration. The problem with just using the show command though is you can see I've got to scroll through all this configuration data in order to find my protocol configuration. So you can see that I finally located the protocol configuration in the protocol section, and I do have RIP configured on the router, and this router will send out RIP messages through broadcast traffic. That way it's backwards compatible with RIP version 1, and also it'll receive version 2 messages. We can also see that I've created a group called RIP group, and I included my two interfaces in that RIP group. So these two interfaces will send RIP related messages. So the show command can be used to look at your RIP configuration, but also I just want to make sure that we make the note that if you're just looking for a specific section of the configuration, then you can add that to the show command. So we can do a show protocols, for instance, and it'll just show the protocol section of the configuration. So that's the first thing I want to do is look at the configuration. Once I've verified the configuration, then you want to look at the routing table when monitoring. Sorry, I got to exit to operational mode here. And then I can use my show route command to look at the routing table. Now, when I look at the routing table, we can see all the different routes that exist. So we do have a route to the 11 network because we're directly connected to that network. But also down bottom, you'll notice here that I do have a route to the 13 network because of RIP. So when monitoring RIP and your routing topology, you want to look at that routing table to verify that your configuration is working the way that you expect it. So I can see here the RIP routing protocol is working. We can see here the preference value, and you can see how we've kind of learned that information. So we're going to send any traffic to the 13 network over to 12.0.0.2 through fast Ethernet 0/0/1. So looking at the routing table is a great way to kind of just verify the configuration is working the way that you expect it. But the other thing we do have is we do have the show RIP command, and we can add the question mark there. And there's three different parameters that you can supply to the show RIP command. There's the general statistics, which will go and show you statistics on just RIP messages themselves. You can see your neighbor devices, so that'll show our different interfaces that have been enabled. And then we do have detailed statistics. So I want to start with the neighbor parameter. And you can see here that we do have the fast Ethernet 0/0/0 and 0/0/1 has been enabled for RIP. We can see that those interfaces are up and what their source IP addresses are. We can also see the send mode for both of these is set to broadcast, right? So that's our show RIP neighbor command. We also have the show RIP statistics, which will actually give you a kind of information on the number of messages that have been sent or received with RIP as a protocol. So we can see here out fast Ethernet 0/0/0, right? There are 0 RIP version 1 messages that have been received. There's 0 RIP version 2 messages that have been received, right? Now, if I take a look at, if I continue on and look at the next interface, right? So we can see that we have received RIP version 2 updates from neighboring devices. So I've got over 6,000 RIP messages there. In the last 5 minutes, I've received 11 messages. So viewing the statistics is a great way to just kind of verify that you are receiving RIP related messages. And then the last parameter I want to show you is I can use my general statistics. And general statistics will just give you information on RIP version 2 messages. So, how many of the messages are considered bad messages, that kind of idea. How much memory is being utilized by RIP related information. So in this demonstration, we saw how to monitor the RIP routing protocol on a Juniper device.